Hello and welcome back to another Saturday here at Coriander Quilts. We've got a fun video planned today. Nicole is making a visit. This may be one of her last visits before the baby is born, so we're going to get an update from her. And we are finally working on that baby quilt tutorial. You're going to hear more about that because it's taken a little bit of a turn, but we're going to be working on that. We also have the Cali and Co Mystery Block of the Month tutorial. It is already the third Saturday of October, so we are sharing that tutorial today, and I have a fun lineup of viewer quilts, so stick around. All right, first up, these viewer quilts before I invite Nicole onto set. First up from Sherry R. She says, "Hello, Cori. A couple weeks back," this actually would have been a couple months back at this point in time, "a viewer asked if a bloom could be used for the critters in Woodland Frolic. I wanted to make the squirrel and fox as table toppers. Here's how they turned out in a bloom fabrics." So she has taken the squirrel and the fox from that Woodland Frolic quilt pattern and has turned them into beautiful table toppers, and they look perfect in a bloom fabrics. The bloom palette is similar to apricot and ash, which was what I used originally to make that pattern, and so the colors complement very nicely. As you can see, that works out great. From Rachel P. She says, "Hi, Cori and Nicole. I wanted to thank you and Ryan so much for all your work putting together your weekly videos. I generally watch them each week when I need motivation to clean up my kitchen on a particularly messy day. They always give me something cheery to do, keeping me from grumbling about my chore. I wanted to share this quilt with you. I made it as a graduation gift for a particularly wonderful high school senior. I have yet to gift it, but I'm sure she'll love it. It uses your Friendship Star pattern in 6 half yards instead of 12 fat quarters. The fabric is mostly Market Street with a few assorted coordinates thrown in. The binding is scrappy and I used Minky Cuddle for the backing. I just did Stitch in the Ditch for the quilting as I skipped the batting entirely this time around. This was a really fun quilt to piece and put together. Thanks for sharing your creative talents with us, Cori. Your patterns are beautiful, easy to follow, and versatile for so many different fabrics." And this was also sent in a few months ago. We are a couple months out from when we're receiving you guys' submissions to when we are actually able to share them. So I have an update from Rachel. She says, "I was able to gift the quilt over the weekend and received a sweet thank you video from the graduate. Seems she really likes it." And the pattern that Rachel used was my Hello Friend pattern, and that turned out so pretty. I like all of those bright colors that she has in there. Just a rainbow of beautifulness. Next up, from Rita H. She says, "Hi, Cori and Nicole and Tiggs. Here are 2 quilts I made from the Sugar Creek collection. Mini Dashing was made for a retreat that I hold every year. Last year, we made friendship bracelets because Taylor Swift was all the rage. We gave each person a bracelet with the name of a quilt block on it. They had to make it for this year's retreat. My block was Churn Dash. Okay, I only had a year to make something, so 2 weeks before the retreat, I made your mini dashing. It was fun to make. I love minis. I had a layer cake with lots of squares left over from another project and a small amount of yardage. That worked out great. There is really a lot of fabric in a layer cake. I also used 4 more of the squares and pieced the backing. The other quilt I made using the layer cake is 2021 Feathered Friends by This and That Patterns. The designer used Sugar Creek, so I had to use most of the same fabrics, just like the picture on her pattern." So 2 beautiful mini quilts from Rita. I also love mini quilts. Those are fun to piece. You always kind of go into them thinking that they're going to take a little bit less time because they're small, but that is typically not the case. And sometimes those little mini quilts take more time than you anticipate, but they are always just so cute. So I'm going to invite Nicole here, and we'll do a little Q&A. We'll see how the pregnancy is treating her, and then we're just going to chat about the quilt that she is going to be making. All right, we've got Nicole. Welcome back.
Hello, thanks for having me back.
Yes, we were all eager to get a baby update. At least, yes. I think many of you were eager. You've only been on once since you were pregnant.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
It was probably last spring. I don't know exactly.
It was pretty early on, I feel like, in the pregnancy.
Yeah, so now baby will be here very soon.
Yes.
It's really sneaking up on us.
It really is. Yeah. Final countdown.
This might be about the last time you're on. I'm not sure if we'll be able to fit you in again before baby arrives.
Yes.
And after baby arrives, there's not going to be
Who's
any
to say?
video happening.
Yeah, not anytime soon, probably.
Yeah. So how have you been feeling?
Really good. Yes. I am pleasantly surprised with how good I feel. My first pregnancy, I did not feel great and kind of just expected the same thing. You know, like you're pregnant, you don't feel great. You don't have a lot of energy, but I've been pleasantly surprised. I have energy. I don't have nearly the aches and pains that I had before. So I am so thankful with how this pregnancy has been going.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Now, you did say baby boy is more active than
He
Olive
is
was.
very much more active. I told my husband Joe that like if my first would have been as active as this one and then my second was not as active as my first one, I would be really concerned. Like what's going on? Like this baby's not moving.
Because he's just peppy.
He's very peppy. He has big kicks,
Big kicks.
all the time.
Did you say he wakes you up at night sometimes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll wake up out of sleep with a kick. And
I don't think that ever happened to me. I don't
No.
remember
Yeah.
ever being woken up from a kick.
Yes.
He's
I mean, he's
just
kicking right now.
jamming
Like,
around. Oh, he says hello.
yes, he's happy to be here.
So we thought that we needed to get cracking on this baby quilt. Now here's where I said things took a little bit of a turn because we started plot twist. We started pulling fabrics from Sherbet Sunshine to make the baby quilt, and you just weren't vibing with the colors that she would have wanted to use for a baby boy.
I just couldn't wrap my head around it. Like, I just was like, I don't know. I couldn't picture it quite right.
And she was leaning towards pinks, a lot of pinks.
Yeah, I was.
Which would be fine. You can certainly make a pink quilt for your
Yeah.
baby boy. That's just fine, but that wasn't something that you knew that you wanted to
No,
do.
I wouldn't have ideally wanted to do that.
So-
but then Corey had a great idea.
I said, why don't we just make it for Olive?
And it just clicked.
Yeah, and Nicole's like, oh yes, because then she could choose the fabrics that she was drawn to in Sherbet Sunshine. Olive is also a very
Her favorite color is pink right now. She
purple,
loves pink.
Yeah.
When she saw this fabric initially, like I've said this before, she like rubbed it all over herself. Like she was obsessed with the flannel fabric.
Yeah,
so.
it was so funny when we were first looking at them. It was when Moda had sent me the strike off. So when we're narrowing the fabrics down to make the final cuts for the fabric line, Olive just grabbed them and she just was rubbing them on.
And like she would have been like a year old. Like she was real little.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she loved them. So then pivot, and we are now making a quilt for Olive. We're going to use the same plan.
Yes.
That we were going to use for baby boy, but it's going to be for baby girl instead.
Yeah, she'll love it too.
All right. So we are. I don't know. I guess I have kind of taken charge of this project because it is a baby quilt pattern that I have made. I bet I've made these at least 4 times, 5 times. I made them for my girls. I made them for gifts. It's a really simple pattern to make, and if you aren't necessarily a piecer, or you don't want to pay a lot of attention to getting those points straight, this is just a really easy quilt from start to finish. There's a fair amount of sewing, so it does take a bit of time sewing, but it's really easy. And so when I was thinking about a pattern that I wanted to show for Sherbet Sunshine, this came right to my head because I've made it so many times and I enjoy making it, and I think it's one that Nicole will enjoy making also. But truth be told, until this morning when she started choosing fabric, she had no idea what this quilt was going to look like.
This is true.
And I said, hey, wait, I need to show you a picture so you at least have an idea of what you're going to be making as you are choosing fabrics. It works really good for flannels, which was another reason why this is such a good one. It works great for flannels and homespuns, not so good for quilting cottons. So definitely a good one for Sherbet Sunshine, but Nicole said, oh, wow, that was not at all what I was picturing.
No.
So I guess you don't have a picture in your head right now of what it's going to look like either.
Yeah.
So you're going to be surprised once we get this put together as well. It's called a chenille baby blanket, chenille something like that. I don't know if there's actually any written pattern for this anywhere. I looked a little bit. I mean, it's probably been 20 years, 25 years since I would have originally made them. And I don't remember having an actual pattern. I just remember being given the instructions verbally on how to make it. So I don't know if there's an actual written pattern. I don't know that you actually need a pattern because once you see how easy it is, you're going to say, oh, okay, I can absolutely do this. What you need is 4 yards of fabric. And we have pulled Sherbet Sunshine. So this is going to be the back fabric. And then you need 3 cuts for the front, and these are the ones that we're using for the front. 1 yard of each fabric. So really easy to purchase. Typically what I would do and what we did today is we chose what we wanted for the back. This one can be a splashier, flashier print. You're going to see this one. These, you're not really going to see the prints. You're going to see the colors. So as you are choosing these prints here, choose something that goes nicely with your backing fabric. These prints that are near solids work really well because you're, as I said, mostly seeing the colors, not so much seeing the actual prints. So this is what we landed on. And I'm gonna show you this. I pulled this quilt too because some of you might not be familiar with chenille fabric, which used to be more trendy, maybe, you know what I'm talking about, like in the 70s, 60s. I don't even know when it was super popular, but sometimes you'll run across these blankets that are all this chenille sort of fabric. So a real textured fabric, and that is kind of where we're going to end up once this quilt is made. But for those of you unfamiliar with what a chenille fabric can look like, this is an example right here. Sometimes you'll see whole blankets made using that fabric. If you're thrifting, I'm a big thrifter. Oh, yeah. You're a big thrifter too.
I'm a big thrifter as well.
Yeah.
Love the gems you can find.
Yeah. Have you actually ever found one of those in the wild?
I don't go through the blankets and linens. I should. That would be amazing. Yeah. That sounds awesome. I didn't know that that was a thing.
I love going through the linens. I'm oftentimes looking for vintage sheets as opposed to anything like that. Yeah. But sometimes you can find some really good things. We do have a lot of good thrift stores around here.
We do. We are very blessed with really good thrift stores.
So Eleni is a thrifter too. So Eleni and I will often do quite a bit of thrifting. We did go to that estate sale you sent us.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was good. We didn't get anything.
Okay.
Nicole had sent me a link to an estate sale that was only about 15 minutes from our house. So Eleni and I went on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't get anything, but it was really interesting.
Okay.
They had a couch, a little couch that I think you would have liked for your sunroom.
Yes.
I saw it, and we debated sending you a picture, but I don't know how you would have gotten it back home.
That would have been a challenge. Our vehicle doesn't fit it. Your vehicle doesn't fit it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we ended up not doing it.
Yeah, probably wise.
Yeah, it was neat. They had a lot of like wrapping paper, Christmas items.
Estate sales are so fascinating.
I know. You never know what you're going to
never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun. We had a good time, even though we didn't get anything. We're very good at browsing in addition to buying.
Yeah.
So. Anyhow, okay, enough. Do you guys thrift? We're going to move on, but let us know if you're thrifters, estate sale,
what you look for,
what
your best find has been.
Oh, yeah, best finds. I wouldn't even know what mine are. I have different collections, and so I'm always looking for my little collections. And so when I find something that fits in, I get really excited, but it's just fun.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, enough thrift chat. We are going to move into this. So what you're going to do is you're going to start with whatever your backing fabric is, and this one is going to go wrong side up. And then we're going to layer everything together. Well, maybe we're going to mark. No, we're going to layer. You can do this in a different order, but this is what we're going to do. So this is our backing fabric. Probably we might press this before we start sewing, but we're just going to lay this out. It might even be easier for you to lay this out on the floor. If you have a nice big floor space, you can see that it doesn't really quite fit here on my table, so we might end up doing this on the floor after I explain what we're doing. So your backing piece is going to go wrong side up, and then your next pieces are going to go right side up, and you're just going to layer everything right on top of each other. So all 4 pieces of fabric just get layered all together. Now, Nicole had decided on the order of fabrics that she wants. So she's going to put the pinky purple on the very top. You're going to see most of this color is going to show the most. And then the middle fabric is going to be the green, and then the bottom fabric is going to be the blue. So we'll start with the blue because that's going to be the bottom one, and we're just going to layer it exactly on top. And I don't think it's been a little bit since I've done this. I'm going to see if the flannels stick enough without doing any sort of basting. I would use like a 505 spray baste, or you can safety pin baste. But sometimes flannels, homespuns, will stick enough, kind of like those old flannel boards. Maybe some of you remember those old flannel boards from Sunday school. Did you guys have flannel boards?
Yes,
Yeah, you remember how they just sort of all stick together.
Yeah.
So flannel fabrics are gonna kind of want to do that. They're doing average. We might end up giving this a little bit of a baste, but I'm gonna show you here. And then the next one would be this green. I guess we don't need too much showing. You guys are gonna understand what's happening here, but we're gonna end up layering all of this. And we're gonna decide then if we need to spray baste, probably spray baste because it's faster than safety pin basting. And if you do use the 505 spray baste, probably something to do outside or in a well-ventilated area. If that's not a product you're familiar with, it's nicest just to do it. I'll often just go out on my driveway if I'm gonna do a bunch of spray basting just so that it's nice and ventilated. But this is all you're going to be doing, is layering these fabrics together. I would press these first so you don't have that crease there in the middle. So we're gonna dismantle this and press and spray baste and get everything all nice and tidy here. And then we're gonna move on to the next step. So I think we're probably just gonna go off camera.
Okay.
Get this set up and then pop back and show you what that looks. These aren't sticking super well, I wouldn't say. So we are gonna spray baste them, get it all layered up, and then show you what that looks like. So we'll be back in a jiffy. All right, we are back. That took a couple minutes. We had some help from Olive.
Yes.
We went outside and we got this layered up. So let me talk you through what happened while we weren't on camera. We left everything all lined up like we had before when we were just last chatting, took everything over to the iron, just gave it an iron mostly in the middle to get rid of that crease that was right there in the middle. And then we just took everything out and we used 505 temporary spray adhesive to spray baste. This is my favorite spray basting adhesive. I use it a lot. I don't use a lot of it at a time, and it just works really well. Now you can use any method of basting if you find that your flannels need just a little help sticking together, all 4 layers. You can use whatever method you like, whether that's safety pin basting, some people like thread basting, so whatever your preferred method is to baste, you can use. This is what we used. Now, I do want to mention, some people will purchase this and just not use it for many years, and then they'll get it out to use it, and it just won't have any stick. So that can happen. It does have sort of a longevity to it that if you don't use it right away, it can lose its stickiness. So if you've had a can in your sewing supplies for quite a while and you get it out to use it and it doesn't stick for you, that might be the issue that you're running into. But we've got everything ready to go here. It is all layered together. So this is our top right here. Let me show you our top piece. And then we have the next. Here we have the next, and then our bottom piece is wrong side up. So 505 is nice in that if you need to reposition anything to get a wrinkle out, you can just peel it apart and stick it back down. It works great. I really do like it. If you're concerned about if you're gifting it for a baby quilt and you'd really rather not use any kind of spray or anything that would add chemicals or anything to your project, then you definitely want to go the safety pin basting or thread basting route. The next thing that we are going to do is we are going to mark what are essentially acting as quilting lines. We just need to mark one. We're going to mark it from the upper corner and then down diagonally across the fabric at a 45-degree angle. And what we are doing is essentially machine quilting the entirety of this project with lines, straight lines diagonally that are 1/2 inch apart. So it's going to be a lot of sewing, but it's not tricky sewing. Now you could opt to mark your whole entire quilt top if you wanted to. That takes a while. I have done it. Sometimes I want something really nice and straight, but for this project it's going to be just fine to mark that first line. And then you can use, if you have a guide on your sewing machine, some of you guys may have fancy machines with the laser guide, or you have a little bar that you can set to use to mark to stay a 1/2 inch apart. We're just going to use the edge of our sewing machine foot. I'm not sure if we're going to need to use a walking foot yet. We're going to experiment a little bit, see if we need a walking foot or see if we can get away with just a regular sewing machine foot. And we're just going to use the width of it as our guide. So roughly a ½ inch apart is what we're looking for. But first we need to mark this first line. So for this, we're using the Dritz Mark Be Gone marker. It's my most favorite thing to mark with. It always comes out for me. Now, I will tell you, I have heard people say, so this is a water-soluble marker. It stays on your project until the project gets thoroughly wet. And a light mist of water isn't going to get rid of your blue marks. You really do need to drench your project. And if you don't, you might have the blue marker coming back. If your blue marker comes back, I've never had it come back after the first washing for a quilt, and I haven't had him come back if I have thoroughly drenched my project. That might not be for everyone. Sometimes when I talk about these markers, people say, well, I don't want to get my quilt top so wet. I'm not planning on washing my quilt. This is a wall hanging, or there's various reasons you might not want to use the water-soluble marker. So use your favorite marking tool to mark your quilt tops. But that's what I'm using. And I'm just gonna talk Nicole through. You've never marked a line on anything, have you?
One time you had me mark with pencil, like a diagonal
for half square triangles.
Yeah.
Okay. She's
I don't know
marked
if
for
that's
half square triangles. Yeah.
applicable.
It's gonna be pretty much the same,
Okay.
just longer.
Okay.
So you're gonna wanna use the longest ruler that you have that has the 45-degree mark on it, which this one does. This would be my longest one. And here we go. So my 45-degree mark in this corner is right here. You see it's denoted by the 45 here.
Okay.
So we can use this line to go against the edge here.
Okay.
And then this line here is going to be at 45 degrees.
Okay.
So we're not going to be able to get all of it in one swipe, you can see, but we'll just move the ruler. So I'm just going to let you have at it.
Okay.
Just mark up there, keep that edge lined up, come down as far as you can. Is your mark
can you
showing
see
up?
it?
Oh yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. That looks great. And then we're just going to kind of slide everything here. And then you can move your ruler down. Just now keep your edge lined up with your blue line. And flannel is gonna, it has a little bit of a stick to it, so you can't slide it as easily as you can. And you can even go up a little further so you have a little bit more
overlap.
Yeah, overlap to make sure that it's at the 45. Yep. And then
That looks good.
yeah.
Okay.
And keep on coming. And then it looks like you're going to need, we'll move again so that our project is on camera. And then you can finish marking that last line.
Okay. Well, that wasn't too bad.
No. But you can see how if you were to mark the whole entire thing, it would take a while.
Yeah.
Now I do have, so I needed this ruler because my longest ruler does not have the 45-degree mark. If I wanted to mark the whole entire thing, I would switch over to a longer ruler like this.
Oh, now to do the half
now
inches
you
apart.
Could, now you could take something longer, and do your ½ inch apart, and it wouldn't take as long as having to slide it. It still doesn't go quite across the whole entire thing, but further than that one goes.
Yeah.
Oh, here, I have the lid down here.
Oh, perfect.
One bad thing about that marker is that cap doesn't stay on
It doesn't go on the reverse? Oh, yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know if I somehow switched lids sometime or what exactly. So that's a little unhandy. That's my one negative about that marker.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we've got our blue mark there. We are ready to sew. Okay. And all we're going to do, like I said, it's just machine quilting. So you're just taking over to the sewing machine and you're just sewing. We are probably just going to use a white thread. I have Aurifil 50 weight in the color 2021 in my machine currently, so I'm just going to leave that. If you want to pre-wind some bobbins, that would be a good idea. You're going to use a lot of thread. ½ inch apart is close. So, and I did try, I experimented going further apart, like, oh, ½ inch is a lot of sewing. So I tried
down
an inch
on
apart.
things.
It's just not as cute. It just doesn't look as cute. So ½ inch is where you want to be. So you're just going to start with this marked line, and then you're going to completely fill everything up all the way across, ½ inch lines, the whole way across, just as if you were machine quilting using straight lines. Okay. And that's the bulk of what you're going to be doing. Okay. Once you have that done, there's still a couple more steps, but this is the primary sewing portion of this blanket.
Okay.
All right, so we are going to experiment a little bit to see. I'm hoping we can get away without using a walking foot, but we might need to put a walking foot on. I haven't actually sewn one of these on my Juki. I would have used my Bernina, and I probably would have used a walking foot on my Bernina. So I don't know how the Juki is going to behave. I don't know if she's going to be friendly without a walking foot or not. So we will keep you updated. Probably what we'll do is wrap up this portion of today's video. Have Nicole start doing some work on this, and then we're gonna do like a little insert in an upcoming video. Maybe even depending on how much progress she makes this week, we might be able to pop in another little update at the end of this video after the tutorial portion of the video. So watch to the end to see if we have a little bit more progress on this portion of today's video. But that's all.
Sounds great.
For today.
Thanks for having
for this
me.
portion. Stay tuned for the Cali and Co mystery tutorial and watch to the end to see if we have more of this. Yes, but that's the end of Nicole being on the video.
Yes.
So
thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. You'll have to give us your thoughts as you're working through.
Yep, I can do that.
So
all right.
Catch you later. I'm going to see ya. I'm going to go ahead and get this table set up for the Cali and Co mystery portion of this video and meet you back here in just a second. I remembered one thing that I wanted to say about that Dritz Mark Be Gone marker. If you are a starcher, that might be one time that you might not want to use that marker, because I have heard some people say when they starch, something with the way the marker works reacts with the starch and it doesn't remove as easily. So keep that in mind with those markers. The other thing is we are not pre-washing these flannels. We are using those not pre-washed. So two things that I didn't say earlier to keep in mind if you are making one of these blankets also. All right, moving on to the Cali and Co mystery block of the month. Here is my Tilda version for this month. I think it's just adorable. And now we are going to make the Cali and Co version. I have all of the information about this block of the month down in the description box. So if you want to make this block, if you've just stumbled across, you can certainly do that. And you can also grab all of the previous blocks if you want to make the whole quilt. So this is block number 10. We are nearing the end of our block of the month. We have just 2 more blocks. The finishing instructions will release in December when that final block comes out. It is a pieced finishing, so if you're thinking, hey, I think I might work ahead, just something to know if you are putting your blocks together ahead of having those finishing instructions. The setting that I have designed for these blocks is a pieced setting. All right, so here are all of the pieces that I am going to be using to make this block. We have some of the 2.5-inch squares coming back into action for this block. We use them here in the center portion as well as in these 4 corners. So you're going to need some of those 2.5-inch squares. You're also going to be using 8 of the half square triangles that you made in previous months. So I've got everything laid out and we can just start sewing. Just like with previous months, we're going to sew together the rows. And then after we have the rows sewn together, we sew them together to complete the block. The center is going to measure 8.5 inches square, and you will want to follow the pressing instructions just like you did in previous months. So let's go ahead and get this laid out. You know how I kind of do things here. I just sort of lay them out as they come and then make adjustments as I need to. I always find I need a little more space on my cutting table. All right, so we'll do that. Let's get you up in here. Now we'll do that. I was gonna say something, but I changed my mind in the middle of saying it. Does that happen to you? You start saying it and then you realize, oh, hey, no, that's not actually how I feel or what I think. You have to change things in the middle of your sentence. All right, let's see here. Oh. Some of these in. I'm going to, we'll put you down there. Maybe pink there. Why don't we leave that one? Well, no, we're going to want the blue down there. Let's do it this way then. Let's do that. And we'll do, where do we like that? Probably up there. So we might have to move that because I don't like those 2 aquas right together like that. Let's do this green one instead. Maybe. Let's put you down here. Purple, sure. Yellow here. I think I'm actually going to end up swapping out something here. Maybe these two. I think I like that better. I just didn't like having those two prints diagonal from each other. Of course, we've got them side by side here again, but that bothers me less. I'm not sure why. So I'll just keep that for right now. Isn't that funny the way each of us sees things just a little bit differently? What bothers one of us, another person might think, oh, that's fine. That doesn't bother me. All right, let me see what I think about this. I know I've got this same print here, but for some reason that's not bothering me. I think that's okay. I think that's going to be my final layout. And so now I need to just go ahead and sew each of these rows together and then sew the completed block together to make our block center. And here is the center. One thing I learned while sewing the center of this block, these sleeves are not sewing machine friendly. They kept knocking my pieces off. They wanted to get in the road of my needle when I was sewing. So don't wear sleeves like this when you are sewing. That's what I learned today as I was making this block. But here's what the center looks like. It's an 8.5-inch center. It's just a happy, joyful little center there. We are now adding the borders and then those stitch and flip corners. So just like we've done in months previous, we have the white borders, the colorful borders, and then those outer stitch and flip corners. So that is going to mean we are sewing E's and F's to the top and bottom and the sides. And then we are adding our colorful borders, the B's and the C's, to the sides after we have sewn E and F. And then our final step is to sew our D stitch and flip corners, just like you see here on this tilde block. Again, as in recent months, I am not going to show all of those steps. I know that you're very familiar with what happens at this point in the game. If you're not, just go back and watch some of the earlier tutorial videos for this block of the month. I am going to get my completed block and show you what that looks like. I've got my sleeve situation fixed. Evidently, you just have to pull it up and make it not cute, but then it becomes much more functional. So I don't have my block quite finished yet, but I couldn't remember if I had shared this with you guys earlier. I know I just started doing this for the last couple blocks, but I have been using my perfect half square, quarter square triangle ruler to mark the diagonal lines on those last 4 stitch and flip corners. I've talked about this ruler quite a bit here on the channel, so I think probably many of you have this ruler. It works really nice for marking these lines. So this little portion over here where you would normally be using it to mark your half square triangle lines works really nice for marking these lines. And what you do is you place your, you don't use that blue diagonal line. Instead, you're going to use the spots where you're marking. You're going to put one of them on the diagonal and the other one is just naturally going to fall 1/2 inch away. And so that lets you just mark these really easily, like so, like that. And that has been, it's just a little bit of a time saver. Of course, you can mark them however you want, but if you have this ruler, it saves you a little bit of time marking those. And then they are all set to go on those corners. So I'm going to go do that. Meet you back here. And here we have our completed Cali and Co block. There's the Cali and Co version alongside the tilde version. They are just fun to piece with those half square triangles already completed. They go together pretty quickly and just fun and happy. So there she is. If you have questions, feel free to let me know. If you have questions for Nicole, feel free to let her know. Thank you so much for stopping by and I will catch you again next time.